So today we are going to discuss about the distributed shared memory, which is the part of the unit 3 of the distributed system. So we already know that how distributed system used to work, and traditionally the distributed computing uh, has been based on the message passing model, in which the processes are going to interact with each other, share the data, and they used to exchange the data in the form of a message. And one of the example of this is the client server model, as well as the remote procedure call are the example of some of the example of this kind of model. Now, the distributed shared memory system is actually, it is a resource management component of a distributed operating system that implements the shared memory model in the distributed system itself. And it is being a model of the shared memory which is applicable in the distributed system, which has no physically shared memory. This shared memory model provides a virtual address space that is shared among all the nodes which are available in the distributed system. So what the basically DSM is, it is a, you can say that it is an abstraction that is going to integrate, that integrates the local memory of the different machines in a network environment into a single logical entity, which is being shared by the different processes which are working in cooperation with each other. And these processes may be working on the multiple sites. Now, as far as the shared memory is concerned, the shared memory itself, in this distributed shared memory, in distributed system, it works, it exists only virtually. So whatever application programs want to use it, can use it in the same way as they used to use the traditional virtual memory, except that the processes which are using this virtual shared memory, it will be running on the different machine. It will be happening in parallel. So this virtual existence, due to this virtual existence of this shared memory, DSM, that is distributed shared memory, is sometimes also referred to as the distributed shared virtual memory. Now, this is a distributed shared memory architecture in which we have different nodes, and each individual nodes are having different kinds of CPU. But before going to discuss about the architecture, let us discuss about some features related with the distributed shared memory. That the first feature is that it is going to implement the shared memory model in the distributed system, which has no physically shared memory. It moves the data to the location of access, means the data moves from the main memory to and the secondary memory, and in between the main memory of the different nodes. So anywhere the data can move. It also allows the program running on the different computers to share the data without the programming having to deal with the by sending the message. It is not necessary the programmer to send the message for sharing some kind of data or the information from the other systems. In the case of distributed shared memory, the client server system or the model is not very much suited. And the program that is using the distributed shared memory are usually shorter and easier to understand than the program which is being used in the message passing system. So let us now discuss about the distributed shared memory architecture. Now, in this architecture, you can see that you have different nodes, and each node of the system is having one or more CPU along with a memory unit. And these nodes are connected to the high-speed communication network. And a simple message passing system is going to allow the different nodes to exchange the messages in between each other. Now, as far as the distributed shared memory abstraction is concerned, it is a large shared memory space to the processors of all the nodes. If you're going to compare it with the shared physical memory in the tightly coupled architecture, the shared memory of the distributed shared memory architecture, it is only the virtually available. Now, in this, you can see that in every node there is a memory mapping manager. It's a kind of a program. It's kind of a software. It's kind of a software routine which is available at each node, whose purpose is to map the local memory onto the shared virtual memory. And to facilitate the mapping operation, the shared memory space is partitioned into the blocks. Now, as we know that data caching is a very well-known solution as far as the which is going to address the memory access latency. And the idea of data caching is to is also used in distributed shared memory system just to reduce the network latency, meaning thereby the main memory of the individual node is used to cache the some or all the spaces of the shared memory space. And the memory mapping manager of each node is going to view its local memory as a big cache of the shared memory space for its associated processes. And the basic unit of the caching is the memory block. Now, when a process on a particular node want to access some data from the memory block of the shared memory space, the local mapping manager, which is going to take part, it is going to initiate, it takes the charge on the request of the different processes. Now, if the memory block contains the access data, which is resident in the cache or in the local memory, the request is satisfied immediately by supplying the access data from the local memory. Otherwise, what happens if the demanded request is not going to fulfill, which is available in the local memory, the network block fault is being generated and the control is passed to the operating system. Now, this operating system then sends a message to the node on which the desired block is located, and from that place, it gets the block. So the missing block, which is required by a particular process on a certain node, that missing block, which is available at the certain other node, it is migrated from that remote node to the client's processor node, and the operating system is going to map it with the application address space. Now, the faulting instruction is again restarted, which has become fault just because the information was not available in the memory. It again restarted, and now it is able to complete its job. So therefore, a scene is created such that the data blocks keep migrating from one node to another node on the demand basis, and there is no communication which is visible in between the user's processes. So, so to the user processes, the system looks like a tightly coupled shared memory multiprocessors system in which the multiple processes freely read and write the shared memory at its will. Now, copies of the data cached in the local memory, it is going to eliminate the network traffic problem for accessing the memory on the basis of cache hit. That is the access of an address whose data is stored is already available in the cache. So network traffic is significantly reduced if the application shows a high degree of locality of the data accesses. So this is all about the distributed shared memory architecture. Now, there are certain design and the implementation issues related with the distributed shared memory. We have 7 issues. First is the granularity. Second one is the structure. Third one is the memory coherence, or you can say it as a consistency. Data location and its access, how to find out how to locate the data, where the data is available. Then replacement strategy, if the local memory is full, cache is full, then how to make the replacement strategy. And then thrashing, just to avoid the two nodes to compete for the writing access, and the heterogeneity, because the systems which are available in the distributed shared memory may not be homogeneous, it may be heterogeneous, with having different kinds of architecture. So the first design issue which is related with the distributed shared memory is the granularity. So granularity, actually it refers to the size of the block of the distributed shared memory system, and that is to the unit of sharing and the unit of data transfer across the network, and when a network block fault is going to occur. So the possible units are either a few words or a page or a few page or a block itself. So selecting this proper block size is very important as far as the design of the distributed shared memory systems are concerned, because the block size is usually going to measure the granularity of the parallelism which is being explored, and the amount of the network traffic which is being generated due to the network block faults occurs. So granularity is generally referring to the how much what unit of the data is to be shared and what unit of the data is to be transferred. The second one is the structure of the shared memory space. Now the structure is going to refer to the layout of the shared data which is available in the memory, and the structure of the shared memory space of a distributed shared memory is normally it is dependent on the type of application that the distributed shared memory system is intended to support. So we have to take care of the structure of the memory space also. The third one is the memory coherence and the access synchronization. This is an important issue which has to be taken care while designing the distributed shared memory system. So what happens in the distributed shared memory system, it is going to allow the replication of the shared data items, and so that the copies of the shared data item may be simultaneously be available in the main memory of the number of the nodes. It may be possible. So in this particular case, the main problem is to solve the memory coherence problem that is going to deal with the consistency of a piece of the shared data lying in the main memory of the two or more nodes. So what is the meaning of coherence? The coherence, memory coherence means that if many user wants to fetch or access any kind of information, so memory is said to be in coherent mode if whatever is being accessed by the client from the memory in the form of a block, data block, the last write operation must be performed, meaning thereby whenever a client is in requirement of a data block, up-to-date data block must be available to the client. That is going to give you the meaning of the memory coherence. So you can say that coherence and the consistency are one of the related issues, because maintaining consistency is very important part of the distributed system. So in this distributed shared memory system, the concurrent accesses to the shared data may be possible. And so memory coherence protocol will not be only sufficient to maintain the consistency of the shared data, but besides that, there must be some more requisites which should be available in the form of a synchronization primitives such as semaphore or the event count or the lock, which is needed to synchronize the concurrent access of the shared data. So it is not only the consistency which has to be maintained, but the synchronization of the concurrent accesses of the shared data. It is also an important issue as far as the distributed shared memory is concerned. The fourth one is the data location and its access, because uh, to share a data in the distributed shared memory, uh, it should be possible to locate and retrieve the data accessed by the user process. So the distributed shared memory system must implement some kind of uh, data block locating mechanism in order to service the network data block faults to meet its requirement of the memory coherence semantics which is being used to obtain. The next one is the replacement strategy. So replacement strategy actually means that in most of the cases, as I said, that to maintain the consistency, it is required to maintain the consistency and to make the data freely available for the accessing purpose to the client. Most of the data is available at the client's cache. So if it may be possible that the local memory of a particular node is going to be filled, and in that particular case, whenever a client of that particular or a process of that particular node want to access some data and it want to search in the cache and it is going to miss the cache at that particular node, it is going to imply that it has to fetch the data blocks from the remote node. But it is not only the searching of the data block onto the remote node, but also it is required to make some replacement into its data cache. So what is happening? The data blocks of the local memory must be replaced by the new data blocks which is coming since it is already full. So therefore, a cache replacement strategy is also necessary in the designing of the distributed shared memory system. The sixth one is the thrashing. Uh, Thrashing actually means that whenever two nodes want to compete for the writing access. So what happens in distributed shared memory? The data blocks are going to migrate between the nodes on the demand basis. Whenever they are demanded, they used to migrate from one node to another node. So if the two nodes are competing together for writing access on the single data item, then the corresponding data block may be transferred back and forth at such a high rate that no real work can get done. So that kind of thing is known as thrashing, because a distributed system must use a policy so that to avoid this particular situation in which two nodes are competing for the writing access. And if they are doing so, then the information which is being updated by the different nodes, it must be transferred back and forth. That is known as thrashing. And the last one is the heterogeneity. Last one is the heterogeneity. Heterogeneity, the distributed system is normally built for the homogeneous system, but it has to address the heterogeneous issues also, because if the system environment is heterogeneous, then the distributed shared memory system must be designed to take care of the different architectures which are available, so that it can function properly with the machines having different kinds of architecture. So these are the certain issues which has to be taken care while designing the distributed shared memory system. Now, distributed shared memory system, why we used to use it, it has certain advantages. So let us discuss the advantages one by one uh, of implementing the distributed shared memory. The first advantage is actually we are comparing the advantages of distributed shared memory with the message passing model, because in message passing model what used to happen that the program which is sharing the data uh, and that sharing of the data is happening only through the message passing. So what is being done in that particular case, the programmer has to be very conscious about the movement of the data between the processes. So the programmer have to explicitly use the certain communication primitives such as send and receive whenever a task is going to take place. So whenever a task is going to take place, the programmer has to be very conscious about the communication primitives. So you can say that it is going to give a significant burden on the programmer itself. But in case of distributed system, why it is advantageous? Because it is going to hide the data movement, and it is also used to give a simple abstraction as far as the sharing of the data is concerned. And that is why it is very easy to design and write the parallel algorithm uh, for the distributed shared memory in comparison to the message passing model. So uh, this is the first kind of advantage, because it is going to hide the movement of the data, as well as it is going to provide abstraction of sharing of the data also, because a parallel algorithm is being written for the distributed shared memory. Second advantage of distributed shared memory is that a single address space is provided. But in case of message passing model, since the data moves between the two different address spaces, uh, so this makes very difficult to pass the complex data structure between the two processes. And passing the data by reference, or passing the data through the passing the data structure which contains a pointers, is generally difficult, as well as it is expensive too. So what happens in contrast, that distributed shared memory allows the complex structure to be passed by the reference, and is going to simplify the development of the algorithm for the distributed application. So this is the second advantage of the distributed shared memory. The third advantage is that by moving the entire block in the message processing system, instead of moving the entire block, we can move only the specific piece of the data which is being referenced by the processes. So by doing this, the distributed shared memory takes the advantage of the locality of reference, which is exhibited by the programs, and thereby it is going to cut down the overhead on the communication on the network. The fourth advantage is it is cheaper than the dedicated multiprocessor system, because uh, the distributed shared memory system can be built by using a general hardware. This hardware which has no special use. Simple hardware can be used to build the system, and since the simple hardware is being used, so it is also not requiring any complex interfacing to connect the shared memory with the uh, to the processors. The fifth advantage of distributed shared memory is whatever physical effectively it provides a large main memory, because every large memory which is available at the different nodes can be put together virtually in the form of a large virtual memory. So the physical memory available, which is available at all the nodes of the distributed shared memory system, it is combined together, and if it is combined together, it becomes enormous. The size of the memory becomes very large. So this large memory can be used to run a program that requires large memory without incurring any disk latency due to the swapping in the traditional distributed system. So this is also going to favor by anticipating the increase in the processor speed relative to the memory speed, as well as because we know that nowadays we have very fast network. The network is working very fast. So this is going to favor if the anticipated uh, speed of the processor is going to become very fast with respect to the memory itself. Uh, the sixth advantage is it does not contain any bottleneck. Besides, it is using the single memory access bus, because what happens in a tightly coupled multiprocessor system, which is having a single shared memory, the main memory is accessed by a common bus. And if it is so, that is going to limit the size of the multiprocessor system to 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 some of the processors, means number few tens of the processors, either 10, 15, 20. But the distributed shared memory do not suffer from this kind of drawback, because and it can be easily scaled up, uh, and as number of processors are going to increase, it is not going to create any kind of problem. So scalability is not an issue in the case of distributed shared memory. And the last one is it provides the portability. How? The program which is written on the shared memory multiprocessor can be in principle run on the distributed shared memory system without any changes. So at the least, such program can easily be ported to the distributed shared memory. So this distributed shared memory is going to overcome the architectural limitations of the shared memory machines, and it is also going to reduce the efforts which are required to write the parallel programs in the distributed system. So that is all about the advantages of the distributed shared memory system. So we have certain algorithms which can be used for implementing the distributed shared memory system. But before we go to explain the different algorithms, we have four algorithms. We have central server algorithm, we have migration algorithm, then we have read replication algorithm, and then full replication algorithm. We have four algorithms. But before going to discuss these four algorithms, uh, we have to take care of the main issues, central issues, uh, which is required for the, which is important for the implementation of the distributed shared memory system. The first is how to keep the track of the location of the remote data, where the remote data is available. So, uh, because uh, if if the process is not able to know that where the data is located, because there is no mechanism by which it is going to give the information or taking the information. The second one is how to overcome the communication delay and the overhead of the communication protocol while accessing the remote data, because there are certain communication overheads also. So what kind of communication protocol has to be required for accessing the remote data? And the third one is how to make the shared data concurrently available, accessible by the several nodes. So these are the three issues, and with the help of keeping the idea of these three issues, the different algorithm has been uh, maintained, has been implemented. So as far as the implementation and the different algorithms are concerned, we will discuss it in later on.